And next up is going to be Blasphemy Online Dragon Hack, written by Andrew Sipple. It is 379 pages, $4.99. It is available on Kindle Unlimited. I'm sorry, it is not available on Kindle. That's a really big distinction. A lot of Andrew Sipple stuff does not appear on Kindle Unlimited because he publishes it wide or publishes it places, so just be aware of that. Here's the author's description. Richard Royal has a hard life. He lives in a corrupt, church-controlled dystopia. His family is soon broken, and the only joy to be had comes from the escapism of full-immersion gaming. Introduced to a new and very illegal game, he finds himself in the body of a dragon, on a quest to find a dark and evil power to serve. But the game is more than it seems, and the dragon is more than a beast. Soon Rich's life is far, far more complicated than he ever expected, and the threats against him grow both in-game and in real space. There is no path that will not lead to blasphemy, and the dark secrets revealed will change two worlds before it's all done. A new LitRPG saga send the Threadbare's world of Generica Online. Okay, there we go. This is another story set in the Threadbare universe. The first one in the series of Threadbare series, then it's their small, medium, and then this one. So these are all set in the same universe, but they're told from kind of different point of views. This one in particular is told from the player perspective, like people from, I don't want to say our world, obviously, but like either a future dystopian world or a parallel universe dystopian world. It's told from a player from that kind of world. And if you've read those other series, you're actually going to be able to appreciate a lot more quickly that the shared game mechanics between them all, especially if you've read some of the player rules from the small medium series, you're going to see a bunch of those pop up, and things are very consistent, which I was a big fan of. But if you haven't read those, don't worry. This works as a standalone series. It does a really good job of explaining the game mechanics and the player mechanics specifically. This story, however, is a lot darker than anything I think I've read from the author, and I like that. I was really interested in the world where it's setting, even though it's like super dystopian, and it's this really not great place for the main character to live in. And I was like, oh, it's many parts of that first section of the story where it's like this character development and description of the world and like why the main character wanted to do is that escape him into this game world. The things that describe them, it's like, wow, dude, your life sucks. I would not want to live in that universe, in that particular world. It's so harsh that the author actually has several disclaimers, and then I'm saying that he's not poking fun at any religion or any real like group or political group, that it's a fictional world. And that kind of describes how this beginning section can be perceived as controversial to a degree. To me, it was an interesting way of looking at a potential parallel universe and a world. And I like that kind of interesting thought processes, but I can definitely see how some people might be, I don't want to say offended, but, think that they're being made fun of, I guess. But still, it's a very interesting real world setting. Once in the game world, however, I should say, the beginning of the novel is kind of a slow burn. The main character is in the game by the 11% mark, but again, the beginning section has a lot of character development stuff, so just be aware of that. Once in the game world, the system used and like the character described in the character creation section are going to feel a little familiar, hopefully, if you've read the Threadbare, the small medium series. It actually expands many of the RPG elements, giving you more notifications, more class and race abilities, and player-only aspects you wouldn't have necessarily seen before. I actually thought it was really nicely well thought out, and the way that everything's explained to the main character comes through really clearly and it very naturally. I was actually quite impressed. Like when I was reading, I was like, oh, this is exactly how players would explain game mechanics to other players who didn't necessarily go through the tutorial or read the game manual. So I thought that was really nicely done. There are several aspects of the story of how the main character explores the game world that I actually enjoyed. I actually thought, I don't want to just like spoil things for you guys, but there's a particular aspect of the novel involving his game character that I thought was really interestingly done as the main character explores the world and the game explores him. I thought that was fun, and that's all I'm going to say about that in particular. But it was interesting. A lot of the in-game stuff is very slice of life as the main character explores the world, and he looks for his some kind of dark deity to fulfill his job class stuff, so he can level. But a lot of it's really just slice of life, and that's very well. it feels a lot like the stuff that you would have read in Threadbare or in Small Medium. So if you like those novels, you're going to like that aspect of the story. Overall, I like this thing. I really did. It's a bit, again, different and darker than the author's other works, so just be aware of that. Like, generally, the real world is like, oh, this is not a nice place. I would not like to live here in any way, shape, or form. But it does get a real, like, good reason why this dystopian world is something that the main character doesn't want to be in. So it definitely serves that purpose. Still, overall, entertaining read for me. Gets a score of 7.5 out of 10. That's Blasphemy Online, Volume 1, Dragon Hack, with the score of 7.5 out of 10.